Labour should be about equality, it should be about power, and it should be about freedom.
For ordinary people.
Labour is competence with compassion.
NHS.
The Labour Party has always meant different things to different people. From Bevan to Blair, Callaghan to Corbyn, numerous attempts have been made to define what it means to be Labour. Now it's Sir Keir Starmer's turn to try and answer that very question. What does it mean to be Labour in 2021?
The Labour Party is a broad church and it changes, and ever since Blair and things have dramatically changed, and the borders of the church are always being sort of questioned. But fundamentally, I believe that the Labour Party should be what it should be, and what it is different thing. What I think it should be is a socialist party, and that means that it's a party that stands up not just for progressive liberal values, but also for the emancipation of workers and sharing wealth and power to the majority of people in society rather than minority, and that comes along with having progressive views on other things.
Broadly, Labour can be broken down into three political wings. Socialism, the political philosophy which underpins the values of members on the left of the party. This group would likely have felt most at home under Jeremy Corbyn's recent leadership. To the right of the Labour movement is a more accepting attitude of free market economics. Tony Blair took the party in this direction during the New Labour era, winning 3 general elections but also estranging many socialists for moving closer to conservative principles. And in the centre, you could find leaders like Ed Miliband pushing Labour towards a model more akin to social democracy. In 2020, Sir Keir Starmer set out his stall as Labour leader.
The thread that runs through my life and the belief that will inspire my leadership of this party is the desire to change lives for the better. The desire to make a difference to my country.
Keir Starmer has spoken of his desire to lead Labour as a broad church. If Labour is about governing, then it needs to be a broad church in order to succeed. Like his predecessors, however, Starmer has struggled to bring harmony to Labour's warring factions. Right now, the Labour Party is less of a broad church and more of a battleground.
I just don't believe leadership is expulsion, or leadership is burying your head in the sand and saying, well, I'm not going to listen to your point of view. I believe leadership is recognising that everybody's got something to contribute, and everybody's got a reason why they take a position. And listening to that reason why they take a position is important if we are to build a society that's inclusive for us all. It wasn't a harmonious party. Under Callaghan, it was never a harmonious party. Under any of the leaders, I campaigned to elect Tony Blair. I worked in Blackpool, with politicians that would probably not be seen as politicians from the political beliefs that people believe I have. But the reality is that, a lot of those politicians that I've worked with, from the left or the right or the centre of the party, have always understood that the aims of our party is to improve the lives of the people that we represent. When those MPs fail to represent them, it's our duty and our job to make them understand why they are wrong.
Labour is defined by the people it represents. The problem with building their voting coalition is that the demographic they now need to appeal to is incredibly diverse. The party need to win seats in their traditional Labour heartlands just as much as they do in urban areas with a more middle-class voter base.
Phil Wilson, underappreciated member of the Labour family, and an interesting one too. He was saying, in 2010, 2011, that Labour needed to think about, these progressive principles that it has from these working class roots haven't gone away because the middle class has grown. That the aspirations to do better for his parents to wish well for him and for his children to go on and succeed in life, and for more going to university and doing other things with their lives and having opportunities not working in a coal mine in Fishburne. But these were good. It was good that there were other things that his kids could do, and that this kind of direction of travel, you could have this without losing sight of your commitments to the working class and the working class roots. But you need to rethink your demographic base. You need to rethink about what you're about, and who you stand for. Because he said at the moment, if you're only kind of playing towards union membership or heartlands, the issue there is that their populations are declining.
Recently, Labour have struggled to deliver a coherent message to their voter base. Their confused messaging over Brexit in the 2019 general election saw Labour lose many of their red wall seats to the Conservatives. What does Labour need to do to win voters back, along with adding new ones along the way?
They know there is a big economic offer that the voters respond well to. So that could be big investment, it could be challenging some of the powerful vested interests around, some of the big corporations and so forth, and public utilities, and also around reinvesting in things like the NHS and social care. So I think Labour knows there is a big popular economic offer to be made, but they're frightened of doing it because they think that it resembles too much from the previous Labour era. So they're slightly stuck in a policy vacuum, not knowing whether to offer what they probably know would be popular with the voters, but they're also concerned that that would be presented as overspending and economically irresponsible. So until Labour can get round this dilemma, I think they're going to continue to be stuck in a sort of no man's land, with the voters not having a clear idea what they stand for.
4 successive general election defeats suggest that Labour are struggling to tell voters what they are all about. Agonising over that question is to the detriment of their ambitions. For the Conservatives, staying in power is the salient goal. For Labour, why they win power is arguably just as important. And that can be a difficult question to answer.
And I think these battles have urgency because we feel we have a moral purpose that's beyond just simply getting into power. It's actually sort of something, I think that's something deeper and something more meaningful, I think, to people's sense of who they are and their values, which is why these fights become so bitter, unfortunately. However, in terms of electability, I think what ultimately happened before 97 was that Labour members just got fed up with losing and were at that stage, I think, prepared to go with whoever and whatever looked like it was going to win. I think, we're in a slightly more difficult situation now because, Blair was 20 points ahead in 1994, whenever it was. Keir Starmer is not, so that I think if he was, I think there would be an awful lot less tension with it, or at least, certain people would be more incentivized to not kick up a fuss. I think we're still both trying to fight the battle of what the Labour Party is for and try to find a way of making it electable. Whereas I think, under New Labour, we only had one of those problems going on because Labour was doing so well in the polls at that point.
Labour is clearly about something more than just electability. But if a Labour leader is to return to number 10 in the future, working out what they stand for is crucial to their ambitions. A one-size-fits-all approach may have finally run its course.